Okay, everyone, welcome to this evening's API cooking class. Today, what we're going to work on changing an opportunity stage. Ultimately, our goal is to be able to do that from the campaign builder. So we'll take a look at how to do that simply at first, and then from the campaign builder once we get going here. So we've got two pieces of code, just like I have done previously. I'm going to start out with what I call the simple version. The simple version does not use any posts or gets. It just has the passes data at hard coded so that you can just see how the calls themselves work and how to troubleshoot that. And then in the second version that we'll do, we'll actually pass the data over from Campaign Builder and see how that's going to work. So this first script, I've got it titled CB underscore change underscore op underscore stage underscore simple. Now, by the time this gets up on GitHub and you download it, it may or may not be called that exact thing, but you're looking for this simplified version. Most of my scripts start out basically the same. So you've got with all PHP files, you always start with that. I always echo hello world, don't ask me why. Um, and then we connect to Infusionsoft. Now, I've personally rearranged since I don't know how many of these we've done, but some of my early ones just would have said istk.php here. I've actually rearranged all my directories on my server, so I've actually got a little bit more interesting path here than what I used to have. But it's still exactly the same. What this is doing is this is saying, where is your ISTK file? For many of you, if you followed our instructions in the missing guide to setting up the API, it will be in the same folder as these scripts, in which case this still will look like that. All right, that means it's in the same folder as your scripts. But if it's not, then you've got to be able to tell it what is the path to be able to find that ISTK file. Now, again, I assume and always that you have already set up your ISTK and your connection to Infusionsoft. So I'm not going to go through how to do that. If you have not done that, we do have on the API Guys website a guide that will help you get that all set up. So I would encourage you to do that. So like always, we start out with a new this app, new ISTK, and then this is something that you are to be able to use this script. You are going to have to change. My connection name is currently set to my app name. That is what it's called in my con.config.php file. So when you set up Infusionsoft, whatever you called your connection in your con.config.php file, you will need to change this to match that. Okay? Usually people put in their app name, but you could call it anything. You could call it Sandbox. You could call it your company name. You could give it a name like Steve. It doesn't matter. As long as whatever you put in your con.config file is what you put here, it will connect. Okay? And we always use a big if statement here. So it starts here, if we can connect to our app, we do all these things. Otherwise, this is where it ends way down here. We're going to echo not connected. So this is just a little bit of very rudimentary error handling that we have in every script that we write that just says, hey, like, if we can't connect to Infusionsoft, the rest of this is all pointless. So we better figure that out early and right up front. So that's what that if statement is, and then our recipe starts here. So as I said, today's recipe is about how to change the stage in an opportunity. And so what we're going to do, again, this is boilerplate for me. I always do this. After I connect, I create a variable called current date, and I give it a today's date in the format that Infusionsoft likes, which is this right here. And then I echo that. I say you are connected at current date. Again, just because as I hit refresh, troubleshoot, as I am troubleshooting my code because you're seeing it finished, but it may take me who knows how long to get to this stage. I like to be able to see the time, even the seconds change, so I know that something is actually changing as I'm refreshing. I also often will write things to a log file, and I will use that date to timestamp it as well. So just saves me the trouble. I just always put it there as a matter of course. Now, we are going to be working with two variables, two primary ones. And as I said, I am hard coding these. If you've ever been on any of our webinars before, you know that for test contact data, I always use my dogs. Generally, it's my dog Drita. And Drita is very active in my Infusionsoft app. She is hard coded. Her contact ID is 18853 in Infusionsoft. And if we go look at Drita, again, now when we get to the second version of this, we're going to have that actually be dynamic and passed through Campaign Builder in a post, so it won't be hard coded like that. But it's easier you can see it to begin with. So here is Drita. So you can see here is her 188553. Man, that doesn't get any bigger, does it? Now, but the other thing I wanted to show you about Drita is, oops, I should probably get rid of one of these. Let's just do that. I'm going to delete this opportunity because we're going to work on the assumption, at least to begin with. Did I hit that? No. That we only have a single opportunity for a contact. Now, and I would say that's really your most common scenario. Some of us were talking before this started about when you might have multiple opportunities, and there are lots of scenarios where you might have multiple opportunities where you've got someone in the pipeline working on different projects or different bids at the same time. But I think probably the most common scenario is that there is just one. So we're going to give Drita a single opportunity. Now, a couple things you should know about this. When I hover over this edit button here, or edit link, you probably can't see it, but down there in the bottom of my browser, it tells me that the ID of this opportunity is 219. Now, if I actually go in this opportunity, you'll see it has a stage, and that stage is on hold for budget. Now, what I can't see here is I can't see what's the ID of this stage, because I have to know that if I want to change it, I have to know what do I want to change it to. So the way that you find that out is you actually have to go to CRM settings, and you have to go to your pipeline, your sales pipeline. Here is our sales pipeline. So you can see on hold, the easiest way is to just hover. So on hold for budget down in the bottom left is 56. Potential project is 18, right? So she's currently got an opportunity, and it's set at a stage of on hold for budget 56. Now, what we're going to do in this script is we are, again, hard coded. We are going to change her to a stage ID of 35. So what are we going to be changing that opportunity to? Well, let's find 35. There's 31, 33. 35 is for us discovery and spec. So when we run this, what we should see is that Drita's opportunity moves from on hold for budget to discovery and spec, and that is because we hard coded for now this stage ID of 35. Okay, so when you're doing this, if you're running this at home, trying to get this all figured out, and you're running this hard coded version, clearly Drita is not going to be in your app, and your stages are going to have different IDs. You might not even have a 35. So whatever you're going to use for your test data and your stage ID that you want to move to, you're going to need to change both of these to be something that is actually there in your application for it to work. Okay, so we've got our test data hard coded here. So that what we're going to do is we're going to start making some calls. So just imagine what we've got here. We've got a lead, and we want to change the stage of their opportunity. Well, so the first thing we have to do is we have to query the lead table, and which is the lead table. That's what they call. I don't know what, but I guess it's a throwback. They used to call them leads instead of opportunities. So the table is still called lead. That's where opportunities are stored. So we have to query the lead table to say what opportunities exist for this contact rather, and then we're going to change. Once we know that, then we're going to change the stage. We can't change the stage until we have the ID of the opportunity itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a DS query. Here is our call that we are going to make on Infusionsoft. We are going to use the DS query method. And if we go to developer.infusionsoft.com and we look at, we'll just start at the beginning here. This is their new developer center. And we go to API services and we look in the data service. That's what DS means, data service, because we're acting on data. What you'll see is that there's a DS query. And right down here somewhere is the ISTK sample that we're going to use. Okay, now this happens to be on the contact table rather than on the lead table. But what we're going to do is we are going to do a DS query. We're going to tell it what table do we want. In our case, it's lead. This number is how many results do we want? Because in theory, I mean, it's not going to be, but in theory, they could have hundreds of opportunities, maybe over the course of years, many of which are probably closed or lost, but right? So how many of those do you want? 10. And then what, this 0, that's kind of a default. It means start on the first page. Don't worry about that. Query, how are you going to define what records you want back? In this case, you only want records that where the first name is Justin. And when you find those, you want to know what their ID is and their first name. So we're doing something similar here. Okay. For us, we're saying, okay, we want to query the lead table. We only want 5. If there's more than that, don't even show them to us. And then our query here is where contact ID is 18853. Okay, because we've set that, we've hard coded it. It would be dynamic otherwise, but for right now, it's where contact ID is Dritta's. Where contact ID is Dritta's, we want you to tell us what is the opportunity ID, the contact ID, and the current stage ID for that opportunity. And so when we run this, it's going to return that, and it's going to put it in this variable called myOp, and then we're going to echo it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start out by just commenting out this so that we can run just this. So nothing's going to change right now because all we're doing is querying, right? So let's run this and see what that looks like. Make this bigger. Okay, so everything happened that we expected to happen. Hello world, you connected at. Okay, here's our array. Now this is what got returned. If we look at this from, I really should have split this. We'll split it so you can see both simultaneously. How about that? There we go. Okay, so this is the print R that I had for my opportunity. This is this is the array that came back from the query. This is everything that came back from the query. Okay, where contact ID is 18853, the ID, meaning the opportunity ID, was 219. The contact ID we knew already was 18853, and the current stage ID is 56, which we also looked at before we got started. So it's saying this is what the database says right now. All right, well, great. And it dumped this into this array, which we then dumped into a variable called myOp so that we could work with it down here. Okay, So what are we going to do with that? Well, now that I know that I've got this opportunity 219, now I can say, okay, so opportunity 219, I want to change that stage from 56 to 35. And I do that with an update, a D, come on, D, oops, whoops, I'm going to break stuff if I'm not careful. With a DS update, which is here. Now, actually, I was doing some stuff earlier and I got this, that's a little better. All right, so here's our DS update. Very similar format. So update is saying, rather than query, it's saying change. We want to change this record in the database. So again, what we're changing is the lead table. We're changing an opportunity. So where opportunity ID is this. Now this is a weird thing. Again, this says this line assumes there is only one op for this contact, which may or may not be the case, but for the simple version, this is what we're assuming. Now, where does this come from? If this does not look at all, if this is Greek to you, you have two options here. One is you can just ignore it and just say, I don't know how this works, and I don't care how it works. All I want to do is change the new stage, so I'm going to just change what you tell me to change and not worry about the rest. And that is a perfectly good strategy, in which case, don't worry about this. However, if you would like to understand this is the notation for arrays. And in this case, it's a multi-dimensional array, which is why it has like two things in these brackets. Here's the variable name of the array. Here's position 0, which is this. And then here's ID. Right? So that's why I print these things. It's a lot, rather than like racking your brain trying to figure out how to refer to these. If you just do a print R, it'll tell you how to refer to them. So to get 219, I had to say my op 0 ID. That's 219. Okay, that's the opportunity ID. That's how you point to it inside of an array. Now, what I was going to say is, if that doesn't make any sense to you, if you were in our 80/20 PHP class in the early spring, we covered arrays. We did a whole day of arrays. If you don't know, if you were not in that or you need a refresher on that, let me see if I can maybe find that for you really quick. You would go to, if you go to our website at the API Guys and you go to the Learning Center, and if you want to just scroll down here to categories, 80/20 PHP, oh, I need to put some labels on that, because that's not very descriptive, is it? We've just been moving all of our information over from our old site to our new one. Somewhere in here, day 3, day 4, should I make a guess? Day 3 was, nope, arrays. Anyway, I'll put labels on that. That's where you'd find it. There you go. Day 4. Day 4 is arrays. So you can watch that class and get the handouts and so forth and get a little lesson on arrays right there. But anyway, that's what that is about. Okay. I have not been watching questions, so hopefully there are none. Okay. So we've got this. We're going to say, so where op ID is 219, and then this is what we want to actually update. We want to change the stage ID to this new stage ID, which is 35. And so when we do that, it's going to return something back. In this case, what it'll return back to say it was successful was the opportunity ID 219, and then it'll give us this. We're going to echo this updated opportunity ID 219. Okay, so if I think I've actually already done this, but I'll just do it again just to make sure. If I refresh this, what we should see now, see, that's why I print this date here, because now I know that I just did it at 24/3. So let's go look at Drita's record and see. She should now be stage ID 35. She should no longer be what she was before, on hold for budget. So if I hit refresh, see, she's changed to Discovery and Spec, which is stage ID 35. So what we've done is we have just using, hard code, their stage ID and contact ID, we have seen the calls that and the logic that are required in order to change that stage ID. So what we're going to do next is we are going to take this one step further. We are going to now get fancy and send these values over in an HTTP post snippet from the campaign builder. Okay, so what that's going to look like is this. Okay, so what's different between this change op stage and change op stage simple? So the beginning is obviously exactly the same. The difference here is mainly right here. Okay, so here what we've done, because we're going to be passing this in from campaign builder using an HTTP post, then what we have to do, and I changed this, so hang on one second, guys. I changed this while I was troubleshooting this, and I need to change these back. Whoops. Okay. Oops. These guys too. Yeah, I made a few little changes to this. Okay, so save. There we go. So the big difference is, so this section right here, okay, where we have all these if and these post variables, okay, takes the place of this right here, where previously we had contact ID and new stage ID hard-coded. Now this code is going to get that from campaign builder. When it's posted, it's going to grab it and it's going to assign it to those same variables. So you need this in order to be able to run this from campaign builder. That's one thing. The second thing that's different is you'll notice we have this code here about dump to file. And the reason we have dump to file is that is really taking the place of these prints and echoes that I do in order to troubleshoot. And the reason is that once you start working from campaign builder, you become blind, right? You're running this, you're actually, so in this case, right? So here's our campaign builder. I also changed the tag, so I made it post-op because it was running some other things. So we apply the tag post-op, and when we do that, it's going to fire this post, and this post is going to send over contact ID with this as a key or an identifier, and it's also going to send the new stage ID of 54, saying we want to change this contact to 50 for this contact ID to 54. Well, the way I'm going to fire that is I'm going to be sitting over here in this contact, and I'm going to say apply tag, and I'm going to apply that tag, and it's going to run. And I'm never going to see anything running, right, because I'm here. So in order to see what is happening, the best thing to do, and what I typically just do as a matter of course, is start dumping those same sorts of things that I would have printed on the screen in my simple version. I dump those to a log file. So we'll see what that looks like. So let's just go through this code here very quickly. So this is an if statement. Okay, it's actually some really nested ifs, because the first thing we say is if there is such a thing as post ID. And by the way, I do this, this whole thing is all about just getting the contact ID. And the reason is, depending on where it comes from in Infusionsoft, they may call it ID or they may call it contact ID. So I have to account for, or I typically account for both, even though in this case I know where it's coming from. I think, it's coming from Campaign Builder, in which case it'll be contact ID. But just, I have this as boilerplate. I use it all the time, every time, because that way if someone wants to send it from a contact action, it'll still work. So anyway, what this is doing is just saying if it's called ID, then we'll assign it to contact ID. If it's not called ID, then if it's called contact ID, we'll assign it to contact ID. Either way, we're going to populate contact ID. And then this one is also an if statement, and it says if there is a post variable with a key of new stage ID, which we are sending over, then we are going to set new stage ID equal to that. Otherwise, we're going to make it blank. So in this piece of code right here does two things: sets contact ID and new stage ID. Now this dump to file, okay, has a couple of pieces to it. First, we do a file open. Now, I've called my log file kim_log.txt. You can call it anything you like. You probably don't want to call it kim log. You can. And what this A+ means is if that file already exists, that it will append to it rather than overriding it. So then each one of these statements is, what do we want to write to that file? Well, first I want to write the current date. So that's my timestamp from up here. Then I want to do a print R on that post, just like I did previously. Now, again, just, so I have it, I'm going to say contact ID is, and new stage ID is, and then close the file. And that's just my way of checking to make sure that everything works. Okay. So let's do this. Let's comment this out. Just this bottom section here. Leave the bottom else there, and let's run this. So I'm going to say save here, and now I'm going to come over here to Woody Woodpecker. Now Woody Woodpecker does have an opportunity here. It's this one. I better hit save just to be sure. And that opportunity is currently set at potential project. That's the stage. So if right now we're not going to change it, we're just going to run this so that it finds it and tells us what the ID is and writes all of this. Oh, sorry. Nope, we're not even going to do that. Yeah, let's go further down. Let's do that. Let's do this. We'll go one step further. We won't change it, but first of all, what we're going to do is, so this is just about here. It's just about writing the post, all the stuff from the post, so I can make sure I'm picking up the post variables properly and getting them assigned to the proper variable. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and also query the lead table to find that opportunity right now, and then we're going to dump that to a file as well. Now I want you to notice something. Okay, so this call here is identical to the one over in simple. See, this one. Okay, nope, not that one. This one, DS query. Okay, at that point they're identical because the only thing that's different here is that we're not hard coding contact ID, new stage ID, and we're putting the print R in a file rather than just on the screen. But this part of the code is the same. Okay, so I'm going to run that. We're going to query the lead table. We're going to find the opportunity. The opportunity that it should find is what? What is this opportunity number? Oops, not what I want. Hang on. 225 is what it should find. Okay, so let's run this and let's see what happens. The way we're going to run it the first time, we're going to apply a tag here, and that tag is called post opportunity because I changed it to make it only run a single one. Okay, so here we have Woody we've applied the tag post opportunity. If we go over here and look at his campaigns to see if it ran, it has not. Okay, it's down here. It's going to run here momentarily. So I'm going to say refresh, and I suspect it will have run. Okay, so there. So it's run. So now what we can do is we can just go look over here. So a log file, unless you tell it to go someplace else, is going to go in the same directory as your script. So in this case, if we go look right here in our script directory, you'll see this Kim log text. If I open Kim log text, exactly what we expect to be there is. Here's our timestamp. Here's our array with the post variable. Here is our contact ID, 1205, and contact ID 21193. That's Woody's stage ID is 54. Okay, so and that is coming from here, contact ID, stage ID 54. Now, interesting that it did not write the rest of it. Why did it not write the rest of it? So all I can think of here is that when I remember when we started, I had changed these to request and then I changed them back. I must have had a typo in there somewhere, maybe an extra space or something, because when I just retyped these, for some reason it started working. So let me just try that all again and make sure that it is. So we'll take our log, we'll delete that, we'll save it fresh, clean rather. So what I'm going to do, so I've saved that, so I'm just going to go back here and run, just rather than reapplying that tag, I'm just going to repost the same post. Okay, that's faster. That way we know it's happened. All right, so I've now reposted. So let's go look at our log file this time and confirm. Yeah, okay. So sorry about that. I just had a typo in there somewhere. Not sure where, but anyway, okay. So now we got what we expected. All right, which is here it's saying this is the first file dump right here, which we had before. This is the second file dump where it is actually going out and querying the lead table to find that opportunity. So what we have here is we have an array, again, same as we had before. We're printing that array called my opportunity. That array is a multi-dimensional array, right? Meaning, okay, it's my op 0, which is the first place in the index, and then ID 225 to get to that opportunity. That's the and then 18 is its current stage. Okay, so now we know all that. Okay, so now let's run the last step. Save that just so it's clear. When we go back to it, it's easy to find. Now, let's make sure I don't mess up something else here. So when I uncomment this section and save, what's going to happen? Again, this piece here is identical to what we had previously. This is the DS update section where it is now using that opportunity ID, which we get by referring to its place in the array, right? And then using that to update that, and then it'll dump that to a log file. So we should just be able to say save and run this one more time, and we should have 3 uh, log dumps here. So I can say, now what's going to happen this time, by the way, is currently, because it is going to update. So currently Woody's opportunity is set at stage potential project. When we're done, it should say closed, I believe, is what I set it for this time. So let's just try it. We'll go find Woody. We'll repost that same HTTP post. Say OK. I do not know what I'm doing to trigger that. ICC renewal map. That is fascinating. Anyway, okay. Let's see here. Let's go look at our log file and see what we see there. All right. So now you can see that it says updated opportunity ID 225. And now if we go look at Woody's opportunity and I'll just open it this time, we'll see stage has been changed to closed, which is exactly what we asked for when we asked it to change the stage ID to, what did I tell you? Uh, we said stage ID was 54, and you can see that here. Here is closed. If I hover over it down, way down there, a little tiny in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that in fact closed is 54. So that is now all working correctly. Sorry for the little snafu there for a moment. So that is your code, complete code for just getting a stage move done by passing in the contact ID and the stage that you would like to move it to. And again, the big caveat there being that this line assumes there is only one opportunity for that contact. If there is a possibility that there is more than one, that's a lot more complicated. We do have a Pocket Developer uh, project that will handle that for you. In fact, I would love to demo that for you. Pocket Developer will allow you to, from that same post, tell it what criteria you want to use to select from among the different opportunities, and then update that one. So, or multiple ones based on your criteria. So but this is enough to kind of get you started, and hopefully you found this helpful. And if we can help with anything else, any of your custom development needs, or you need anything else, I would, by the way, yeah, I mean, this, it's new, by the way, and in fact, it's really not even launched yet. By the time you see this, it may be, but if you have not had a look through our project catalog for Pocket Developer and are done for you in fast implementation projects, you might want to have a look at that, because a lot of times those are our most commonly requested solutions, and they are much less expensive than having it done as a custom development. So if you have something that you need and it's a little more complicated than what you can do on your own, or you just don't want to spend the time to do it on your own, I would encourage you to have a look at that on our website at the APIguys.com, which that is not it. Anyway, so again, thanks you guys, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.